Does the principle of making weekly dates still apply? It was in the first edition of 3% Man.
Yes, that hasn't changed at all because the idea is you're trying to take measured steps. You're not trying to rush it because most men try to do too much too soon. They go out on a say like a Monday and they have a really good date, and then Tuesday they're calling her for the second date, and then that goes well. If the girl's really into you, and you go out on Monday, you go out on Wednesday, and then you end up going out on Friday, you might notice like the following week that she's less available. Her schedule's not as open, and so the idea is you're taking your time because men who have choices and they have options are busy professionals. They're not trying to convince her to marry him on the first or the second date. They're going to be selective. They're going to take their time, and because the idea is you're trying to go slightly slower than the woman is, so her interest really starts to go up because as her interest goes up, she feels safe with you, she likes you, and most women in the West are going to sleep with a guy by the second or third date. And so if you're just doing the once a week where you reach out, you set one date, and then if she starts reaching out to you after that, like say you had your second date on a Tuesday and you guys ended up hooking up for the first time, then the idea is you're going to probably get in touch with Monday or Tuesday of the following week. So you're giving her some extra time to see if she'll reach out first. And plus, you're also trying to ascertain does she have a good attitude? Because there are some women that are insecure and they get mad and they get butthurt and they assume, oh, he just wanted to get in my pants and he got in my pants and it's 2 days later I haven't heard from him. Screw that jerk. And then you call her on Monday and she's pissed off at you. Or you have a girl who's easygoing, who's easy to get along with, who's sweet, who's like, oh, I'm sure he's busy. He's a busy professional. It'd be nice to hear from him again. That was a really wonderful date on Tuesday. He took care of everything. It was just all he did was show up, and he knew what to do. I couldn't say no to him. Wonder what he's doing. And then the next thing you know, on Monday he calls her up and she's like, "Hey, you, I miss you. I've been thinking about you. You've been thinking about me." I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, babe. That's why I'm calling you. I want to see your face. Let's get together." And then you make the third date. But if you wait till that following Monday, after a couple of days, she may text you and use the most famous and overused pickup line of women all over the world, which is "Hey." So you hooked up on Tuesday and maybe Thursday or Friday. She's like, "Hey," at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Then you're like, "Hey, you, I want to see you. What's your schedule like? When are you available?" And then she'll say, "Oh, I'm wide open this week." And it's like, "Well, great. Let's get together Friday night." Then you make a date, hang out, have fun, hook up, rinse, recycle, repeat. And so now what's happening is you're 3 weeks in, and now 2, 3 days after your third date or second date, she's reaching out to you. And that's what you're trying to do is you're trying to facilitate it. It's kind of like a relay race. If you see the one where the chick was whacking the other girl in the head, it was like a high school relay race, and she came up from behind and was whacking this other girl in the head. The video went viral, but it's kind of funny. But dating is kind of like a relay race, and so the first 2 or 3 laps, it's you, and then what you'll notice is like, by the second or third week or the second or third lap, is that she's going to come up to you and hand you the baton instead of you, in essence, kind of going up to her the first few laps and giving her the baton. Now she'll start giving you the baton. In other words, she'll start initiating contact. And then, so what happens is the man kind of starts the race. He starts the pursuit in the beginning, but most women that are normal, that are healthy, they have a good attitude, and you treat them right, and they feel safe with you, are going to start reaching out. And then when that happens, then you just make the next date. And then so the women kind of take the baton, if you will, and they put their foot down on the gas, and then they start calling and texting you every couple of days, and then it gets to be every day, and then typically week 6, 7, 8, it's she's going to be texting and calling you, FaceTiming you probably multiple times a day, and you're going to be hanging out either at her place or she'll be at yours just about every night, because when she's in love with you, she's going to be stuck to you like a sucker fish. And so if you just again do the one date per week, then typically by the second or third week, as long as you're doing everything right and you're dealing with a normal healthy woman and you're following the book, then she'll pick the baton up and then she'll start pursuing you more and reaching out to you more, and You just assume if she's reaching out, she probably wants to see you and probably wants to get together, so make it happen.
Right.
And then now your pursuit's kind of over, and then you kind of just wait to hear from her, make dates when you do, and then that allows you to give her as much space and time away from you as she needs to wonder about you, to think about you. And when she misses you enough and she's thinking about you enough, she'll reach out. And as the weeks go by and her interest goes higher, the time frame in between her reaching out and that silence when you're wondering if you're going to hear from her or not, it gets shorter and shorter until it's pretty much every day, all day long, text, FaceTime, or regular phone calls. And it's just, when a girl's texting and calling you multiple times a day, it's, it's easy to set a date because she's reaching out because she's trying to get your attention.
Mm-hmm.
So make a get together happen as quickly as possible. And when you're at that point where she's contacting you multiple times a day, you just say, she's like, hey, what are you doing? It was like, come over. You don't have to have an official date. Just get together because she just wants to see you and spend time with you.
And don't play the game like that one viewer question where he messed it up by starting to play the game and act like he didn't care or give her that attention. Because some guys get too cocky with her chasing and pursuing so much that they
It
get.
doesn't come off as real or authentic.
Yeah.
Like they kind of feel like, oh, he's purposely doing these things.
Right.
And
So,
then she starts to doubt that he's real and authentic, and then she backs off.
right. So
But
don't do
that's
that.
why you do the once a week per rule, because if you're too much of a dick or you're too much of a cold fish, and say for the first 3 weeks or 4 weeks she had reached out multiple times, and now all of a sudden you haven't heard from her in 4 or 5 days,
Mm-hmm.
then if the last time you heard from her was like Thursday of last week, and now it's Monday or Tuesday, and you haven't heard anything, and yet you spent last weekend together, then you should reach out on a Monday or a Tuesday. And because again, it's the once a week rule. And so as guys are learning this stuff, they're learning the balance between pursuing too much and not pursuing enough. And so if you don't pursue enough, or you get a little cutesy in a text, or you put your foot in your mouth and you say something that offends her instead of makes her laugh, you'll notice that you won't hear from her all of a sudden, and she'll kind of back off like a cat. And so that's why you re-engage with the once a week, if in case that happens. And then when you're together on that next date, she might tell you that what you did or what you said in text, it kind of hurt her feelings, or she didn't like it, or it kind of felt like you were jerking her around or playing games with her, and that's why I didn't call you this week, or I didn't reach out. And then you can engage with her and say, oh, hey, I'm sorry what I did made you feel that way.
And mean it. Some guys are
Yeah.
so like cold-hearted and hard-headed that they can hear the girl communicating that what they said hurt and they get offended, like, I don't know why you took it that way, like, so they'll get butthurt that she got
Yeah, they
hurt.
start using logic and reason to justify their actions, and then
Yeah.
all you hear is nothing's going to change. It's going
Right.
to stay this way.
Don't do that.
So in other words, they don't care about your needs and your wants.
Yeah.
But if you just listen and say, hey,
No, they're just
I'm
being too
sorry.
masculine.
I'm sorry if what I did made you feel that way. It wasn't my intent.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Just
if
say
that ever
so.
happens again, tell me. Send me a text. Say, hey, you're being a dick or whatever.
Yeah.
Or that was a dick move, or you were mean.
But when you do tell them that, then they find like another excuse. Oh, but you're being like too emotional.
You're being too sensitive.
You're being too sensitive.
I'm not like that. You should know me by now.
Mm-hmm. They come up with excuses.
That's not what a 3% man says.
Yeah, that's not a 3%.
3% ain't gonna argue. He's gonna be like, oh, I'm sorry, if what I did made you feel that way, honey.
Yeah.
That was my intent at all. If you missed me, you should have called me. I would love to see you. I would love to do a little kissy poo. We could have Netflix and chilled on Friday.
Mm-hmm. I know a guy watching can relate and be like, dang, I'm kind of the opposite of that.
I know there's definitely 3% men watching this and they're like, shit, I've done that. And they're thinking if
And they're not 3%.
they're like, I'm not a 3% man.
Yeah. Let me approach it differently.
You gotta fix yourself.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Be aware of what you're doing and what you're saying and how it will affect the people around you.